Euro 2024 final, we're going to have Spain up against England. What a cracker in store. Who's going to come out on top? We're going to get into it. All of it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video. Today we're predicting the Euro 2024 final between Spain and England. Two juggernauts meeting for glory, of course. One, a former winner. One trying to get there for the first time, who, of course, will go the distance. We'll get into it in a second. If you know where you've been, smash your subscribe and your one-stop shop for Euro 2024 is right here under One Ruski. We are at the final hurdle, guys and girls, but this play still to be had, still to be talked about as we look forward to a cracker. We'll get into it in a minute. If you know, subscribe, smash the like, of course, and a big, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons, of course, you know who you are. But anyway, let's get into it. Of course, we are talking about this, that's right, and what is that? It is Euro 2024, and we're setting ourselves up for an absolute cracker as we gear up for this one. So let's, of course, remind ourselves of course, these semi-finals between these two nations and what some banging matches we had in store as well. Of course, it was Spain, it was France in the first semi-final on Tuesday night, and of course I got that one pretty much bang on point. 2-1 win in the end was my pick. The final score was in fact 2-1 win, as well as Spain came from behind in that one. They've been showing some true quality over these past couple of games against Germany, where they did take the lead, then of course succumbed to that 1-1 draw, and then came back to win that game 2-1. But now here, coming back from 1-0 behind at the early doors, and then to regain a bit of stranglehold of the game and then take the lead all within a space of a few minutes, shows just how good this Spanish team is. And of course they will take on England, that's right. I went with a 2-0 win myself on that one. Of course, they came through quite comfortably. Well, you know what I mean, against the Dutch in the end. So, of course, what has that done to the grand scheme of things? Well, let's, of course, remind ourselves, of course, of our own prediction league. We do have a prediction league. I don't know when I'm going to get the results to you on this one, but I will hope to somehow announce a winner, maybe in an update video, something like that. We'll do that, I think. But just get your prediction in. Of course, still lots of points to be had. You can still squeak in and still win it. You know what it is. But let's remind ourselves, of course, how, before we get to that final, how we got to the final by, of course, reviewing the whole tournament in a little bit of a summary. So let's take a look at, of course, the group stages. We did see the Germans coming out on top with 7 points. They were joined by Switzerland in the knockout stages. Spain, of course, the finalists right here, right now, they topped Group B. Perfect record. Then there was Italy. Croatia, well, of course, one of the first to be eliminated in the third place bracket. Meanwhile, England, that's right, they made it through narrowly in a very, very tight Group C. The Danes also joined them. Slovenia, the same. Also in the third place teams. We'll see those in a minute. Austria, of course, they were what was expected to be the dark horse, but of course we'll talk about them in a little bit. But they topped Group D with France, semi-finalists, the Dutch, of course. Group E had Romania, Belgium, Slovakia, and of course Group F saw Portugal, Turkey, and Czechia, of course, in there. But yeah, Czechia, of course, were no good in third or fourth, sorry. Let's remind ourselves of course, those 4 nations that qualified as the third place. We had the Dutch, we had Georgia, Slovakia, and Slovenia. Wow. So those, of course, 4 joined the rest to make up the last 16. So let's take a look at, of course, the breakdown of the knockout stages before we, of course, get into a juicy looking final over in Germany. All right then, folks, let's take a look at those last 16 games. Of course, we start with Spain against Georgia. Germany took on the Danes. The French took on Belgium. Portugal took on Slovakia. That's right. Sorry, Slovenia. I always get it. It's tough. It is tough. On the other side of the bracket, we had the Dutch up against Romania. Austria took on Turkey. England took on Slovakia. And the Swiss took on Italy. That is right. But, of course, who made through to the quarterfinals? Well, I'll tell you right now, the Spanish came on top against Georgia to set up a crunch clash against the Germans, who did beat the Danes. Meanwhile, La France beat their neighbours, Belgium, to go through to a quarter-final, with the Portuguese and Ronaldo navigating past a tricky Slovenia side. On the other side of the bracket, we saw Romania crashing out, which was a sad sight. The Dutch coming on through, and they were joined by Turkey, who ousted a in-form hot-to-trot Austria. England, of course, navigated a narrow match against Slovakia and the Swiss took care of business against Italy, of course. But who made those semi-finals? Well, we said goodbye to the Germans, which was a bitter pill to swallow as Spain came through. They are, of course, joined by the French, who, of course, eliminated Ronaldo. And then the Dutch took care of business against the Turkish outfit, and England, on penalties, came through against the Swiss to set up these semi-finals. But, of course, what happened in those semi-finals? The Spanish coming out on top, and they were joined by England to set up what will be an absolute cracking affair. So let's take a look at this match. It is the final. It is what we're all talking about, what we've been building up all month. But of course, who will come out on top in this match? So let's take a look at it. Coming at you very, very soon. Of course, how soon am I talking about? I am talking about this coming Sunday. The match will take place, of course, over in Berlin. It'll be Spain up against England. Now, these two nations have played each other 14 times since 1950. 6 wins for Spain, 6 wins for England, and there's been 2 draws heading into this match. Of course, the Spanish are pretty much a perfect record over the last 6 matches, 100% form for them at the moment. Meanwhile, England coming into this also on the back of a 6-game unbeaten run, but of course picking up 4 wins and a couple of draws on the moment. Now, these two nations did lock horns way back on October 2018. That was the most recent match. England coming out on top with a 3-2 win over in Spain. That was in the Nations League. Of course, Spain, of course, picked up a result against England not too far back in the future as well, over in England. So they kind of exchanged victories. Over the course of the last 6, though, it has been Spain who've had the better run of things. Just that one defeat, that most recent defeat over the last 6 matches. But 6 wins, 6 for 6 for the pair of them, 2 draws as well. So it's quite evenly matched, this final. Let's take a look at, of course, the run-in. We know Spain opened up with that 3-0 win over Croatia, followed that with a 1-0 win over Italy and a 1-0 win over Albania, getting through those group stages without conceding a goal. They then took care of business against a Georgia team who caused some problems, then a Germany team that dragged them into extra time, and then, of course, the French with that 2-1 win as well. As for the English, a 1-0 win over Serbia, draw against the Danes, of course, navigating a draw against Slovenia, and extra time against Slovakia, penalties against the Swiss, and of course getting past the Dutch most recently. All the goal scorers now, we do have one player from one side, Dani Olmo, is in the mixer, level on goals for the Golden Boot. He's got 3, Fabian Ruiz has got 2. As for England, Kane and Bellingham, both in the mixer as well for the Golden Boot at this stage. What about the bookies? Well, the bookies, I don't have the bookies odds, so that does make this a little bit of a handicap. But let's, of course, give it our gut reaction. And what do we actually believe in this game is going to happen? Of course, Spain have been the stars of the show since day one. They've had a real difficult run in. They've not had an easy route to this final. Of course, maybe you could say the Georgia game was a little bit easy. As for England, they've kind of had a really easy kind of tournament, the whole thing. I would say the difficult games were against, of course, the Dutch and the Swiss. The Swiss were always going to be a tricky old country to navigate, but they got past them in the grand scheme of things. But ultimately, really, England have been poor. They've had an easy run in, but they managed to get through purely on some individual brilliance and a little bit of luck, maybe. But how long can that luck ride with you? Spain have been here. They've been quality. Of course, they have lost a couple of key players with injuries over the past couple of games. And, of course, England not really clicking a gear. And I guess you can take a bit of a microscope to the French and the English for being in this tournament and not really clicking into gear and making it to at least the semi-finals now. And, of course, the finals in England's instance. So England really, despite playing poorly, are here. And, of course, yeah, they might have had a luck with a draw. But on the flip side, Spain have, of course, eliminated some heavyweights on this side of the bracket. So rightfully, my head says Spain deserve this. My heart says Spain as well, because I am a Brit, not an Englishman, a Scotsman, a German, who don't really want to see England win this. So I'm going to side with my head on this one. I do think it will be a cracking game, and we might see a little bit of England. I think when England are in a little bit of pressure, we might see them rise to the occasion. So maybe an early Spanish goal might see England raise the game, and that might be the way that England can challenge for this. Because when their tails are up, they seem to deliver and seem to deliver on some quality bits of play. But ultimately, I am going to back the Spanish here with a 2-1 win in the end to get their hands back on this glorious bit of silverware to set the Spanish up for the long term. These guys are not here just for this tournament. They're a young team, an exciting team, and I can see them dominating in the USA 2026 and, of course, in future Euros for the next 10 years or so. So that, of course, is my prediction. What are your thoughts and opinions about that? Let me know your thoughts down below. We look forward to, of course, this final, and hopefully we'll see the real winner, the true winner that ultimately deserves this, getting the holds of the silverware at the end of it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Of course, we look forward to seeing you for that and getting them in the comments. But until then, smash the like, smash the subscribe. We'll be back very, very soon, whenever that is. But until then, we are done.